Good morning, students. Now we are going to discuss about task scheduling. So what is meant by scheduling? Before going to know about task scheduling, what is meant by scheduling? So simply I have two tasks, task 1, task 2 and task 3. I have three tasks. I just given one command that task 1 has to execute in between 10 to 15 seconds and task 2 has to execute in between 15 to 25 seconds and task 3 has to execute in between 0 to 5 seconds. Then obviously depends on the time slot basis. 0 to 5 is the initial time, so hence task 3 will start execution and next after 5 task 1 will come and next task 2 will come. So scheduling means which task, either it may be 1, 2 or 3, at which time slot it has to be executed. That could be decided by programmer or developer. Then we have to take care of that one. So let's have a look about task scheduling. What is meant by task scheduling? So first we already know about this one, multitasking and multi-programming. Previously we already learned about this particular topic, and multitasking is nothing but number of tasks executing in a particular instant of time or time interval. For example, I have to 0 to 1. So when the time slot is in between 0 to 1, then how many number of tasks are going to be executing? For example, I have 4 tasks are executing in between the time slot 0 to 1. That is nothing but multitasking. One particular duration, how many tasks, number of tasks are going to be performing? Either it may be execution or it may be operation. That's nothing but multitasking. Now my question will comes from which are the tasks. So I have tasks from T1 to T10. Let. So I have 10 number of tasks. Among all these 10 number of tasks, which 4 tasks are going to be executed in between 0 to 1 second? That could be scheduling. So I have to schedule, either it may be task or it may be a process. Maybe we used to call it as task scheduling. If it is relevant to process, then we used to call it as process scheduling. So once you need to perform scheduling operation, then you must have the facility of multitasking. So initially it has to support multitasking only and multiprocessing also. Then only it is possible to use scheduler. If not, we can't able to use the scheduler, because schedule means which type of task and which number of task is going to be executing in which slot. For example, I don't have this many tasks. I have only one task, that is T1. So directly I have given one time slot, that is 0 to 1. In between 0 to 1, T1 is going to be executed. Nothing will available there after execution of T1. So now the kernel services which implement the scheduling algorithm is known as a scheduler, simply known as scheduling is always under control of kernel. So kernel is just like a heart of a core. So kernel will decides which task at what time. These two things has to be decided by kernel or can be executed by using kernel. Means number of task and time of task both can be available in only scheduler. So schedule means, I think you might be familiar with already state of operation of a process. So that is, first one is create, next one is R for ready, next one is RUN for running state, and last one is COMP, nothing but completing state. While it is in running state, there is a chance of block churns, and from block to ready, and there we have one more option from running to ready. So these are the states of operations available while we are executing in process. So first one is ready state from running state. Is it possible? Let's check. This is ready. Ready state from running state. Is there any possibility? Is there? Yes, this is. We used to call it as preempting state. So running state to ready state. Yes, it is possible. We can schedule that one also. And next one is blocked state from running state. So running state to blocked state. Yes, there is a provision to go any one of the tasks from running state to blocked state. So that part also we can schedule. Next one is ready state from blocked state, means this one. So this one also we can schedule. And last one is completed state, at which time instant it is going to be complete the state of operation. These are the 4 operations which can be performed by using scheduler. So this is when we are going to do any process or task scheduling. Either it may be task scheduling or it may be a process scheduling. Before going to go for a scheduling algorithm, we need to follow some of the factors. So here are the factors. First one is CPU utilization, and second one is throughput, third one is turnaround time, and fourth one is waiting time, fifth one is response time, next one is job queue, and last one is ready queue. So let's have a look into this. First one, CPU utilization. For example, so my CPU having a capability of 100% utilization, but for executing any one of the tasks, there is no need of using this entire 100% of capability or utilization capability of CPU. So for example, I would like to open one folder which is available on my desktop. For that, I may use only 1% of one caliber of my CPU, or else I would like to run one software in my system. So it may take maybe 20% of utilization of your software, your CPU. Or I would like to run one video 3D game, then it may take 50% of utilization of your CPU. So CPU utilization means for which task how much percentage of CPU is going to be utilizing for executing the user commands. And next one is throughput. So as you already know about of throughput, what is meant by throughput? This is simply number of tasks or processes per unit time. So for example, previously we have discussed about of time slot. So 0 to 1, this is my time slot. In this particular time slot, I have executed 4 number of tasks. So this is what throughput. What is the number of how many number of tasks can be executed in one particular time slot or duration? That is throughput. Next one is turnaround time. So the name itself, it is indicating turnaround means I have one register which is having 2, 3 and 4 slots. So this one is my process 1, this one is my process 2, and here I have P3 and here I have P4. 4 number of processor available for me. So I have just given a time slots like P1 has to start at the time of 0 seconds and it has to finish at 5 seconds. So after completion of execution of P1 only, P2 has to start. So it will execute at 12 seconds. So next to P3 will execute at 20 and P4 will execute at 30. So now I would like to calculate each and individual process execution time. So for example, if it is a P1, 5 minus 0, this is 5 seconds time. And for execution of P2, 12 minus 5, this is 7 seconds. And P3, this is 20 minus 12, this is 8 seconds. And while it is coming for P4, 30 minus 20, this is 10 seconds. So now what is meant by turnaround time? Turnaround time means P1 is going to be close or turn around at 5 seconds. At which time instant it is going to be completed its own execution of any one of the process or task is known as turnaround time. So P1 is going to be close at 5 means turnaround time of P1 equals to 5. Same as turn around time of P2. How much it is? That is 12 seconds. So this is 12 seconds. Same turn around time of P3. P3 means this one where it is going to be closing at 20. So this will be 20. Same as if it is a turnaround time of a P4, it is going to be closed at 30 seconds of time. So at which time instant of it is going to be closed, whether it may be P1 or it may be P2 or it may be P3, whichever it may be that you are considering to calculate. For example, you need to calculate for P1, then you need to consider this block only. For example, you need to calculate P4, P3, then you need to take these time slots. Right? So turnaround time is nothing but what is the time slot of executing completion time. So next one is waiting time. So waiting is same process having with a slight modification. So I have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is my P1, this is my P2, this is my P3 and this is my P4. So as I already mentioned the values 0, 5, 12, 20 and 30. Whenever I am calculating waiting time, so I need to check for completion of entire execution of P1 how much time it will take. How much time it will take? It has to wait a minimum of 5 seconds, right? Because in 5th second itself only the output of P1 will be executed. Up to that extent P1 has to be in maybe in running state, maybe in blocking state, but still it has to wait to collect the output of P1. Same as P2 waiting state is 12 and P3 waiting state is 20 and P4 is 30. Whenever you need to calculate the average time, then 5, so P3 is for 20 and P4 equals to 30. whenever you need to calculate average time, you need to submit all these thing values 5 plus 12 plus 20 plus 30. And how many processes is there? P1, P2, P3, P4. 4 number of processes are available. So denominator is 4. Then the average will becomes 30 plus 20, 50, 50 plus 12, 62 plus 5. That is 67 by 4. It is approximately equals to 16 point something. So 16.18 milliseconds. Let it maybe. It may not be the exact value, but this is the average waiting time of this particular task. Clear? Next one, response time. So response time is nothing but when you are accessing any one of the information from the task, how much time it is taking to respond. So same P1, P2, P3, P4. So the same values I am considering over here itself also for the convenience of understanding. So I have one task. So that particular task is named as A, right? So whenever I need to finish this task, I need to segregate this entire task into 4 processors, P1, P2, P3 and P4. So response time RT of P1, how much is the response time of P1? It is responding at 0 seconds itself only. So this is 0. Same as response time of P2 is 5. Same response time of P3 12. Response time of P4 is 20. So any one of the process P1, P2, P3 or it may be P4 also. When at which time instant basis it is going to be responding for the user. So until and unless whenever you are in 0th second, P1 will not respond. For example, process is already executed and the time slot is under around 7 seconds, 8 seconds is running out. Then P0 will never be executed because it has to respond in between 0 to 5 only. Once the time slot is crossed 5 seconds, P1 will not respond. P2 only will respond. So if you need to calculate the average, 20 plus 12, 32 plus 5, 37. 5 plus 0, so it is no value. Again, I am calculating with 4 processors. So this will be 9.25 milliseconds. So that's your response time of this particular task A. Okay, next one, job queue. So you already know about of what is meant by queue. Queue, what is meant by queue? So it's always like one register, 1, 2, 3 and 4 slots. So here I have 4 processes, P1, P2, P3, P4. Same 4 processes are available. So how many processors are available? We have 4. That is P1, P2, P3 and P4. These are the 4 processors we have. Now I have initiated my operation of insert. So that operation is named as insertion. So once it is started the insertion, first initially P1 will come to here. Initial state P1 is, or there itself it is available. So next I'll start it with P2. Whenever I am inserting P2, P1 will shift it to here. Means P1 will be replaced here and P2 will be replaced with P1. Next I would like to take P3. So that then obviously P1 will shift to next position. Here you will get P1. Here P2 will be shifted to here. So this is P2 and P3 will be replaced with P2. And last one is P4. So P1 will shifted to here. This will be P1 and P2 will come to here P2 and P3 come to here P3 and this will be P4. Now I have an order of P1, P2, P3 and P4. So this is my register or else my job queue. Now I need to perform the operations of P1, P2, P3, P4. Maybe depends on priority basis, maybe it depends on some algorithm basis. That depends upon always application. So here I have only 4 number of process to complete one task, and I used to name it as task A. So for completing the task of task A, I need to execute all these 4 operations. So now I have entire operations are only 4, P1, P2, P3, P4, which are the processes or operations or tasks has to be performed in that particular state of operation. Those all processor are held in one particular queue, that is job queue. Job is nothing but one particular task. So for that particular task, how many processors are available with me? All those processes has to be assembled in sequential order or priority based order, whatever it may be. But for example, if I have P5 also over here, then I need P5 also. So if I have only P1, P2 and P3, I have only these 3 processors have filled this one and the remaining 2 are having vacant places, then I don't want to call this one as my job queue. Okay, how many process or how many tasks are available to execute the entire job? All those process has to be in one specific queue. That's job queue. Let's come to ready queue. So as you already know this, what is meant by job queue? So I have P1, P2, P3 and P4. These are the 4 tasks, 4 processes available to execute or complete one entire task named as A. For example, I would like to finish this entire task, means I need to finish the process which is available with these 4 processes. Okay, once I started my execution, then obviously the process available with, this is what it is, JQ, job queue. So which are the process? All processes are available with job queue. So then first P1, P2, P3. I have taken P4 for execution purpose. So then the position of P4 will be vacant. And for next operation, I would like to take P3 for execution purpose. So P1 will be here, P2 will be here. So next one is P3. So P3 will go for execution purpose. Once P3 finished, in next time slot, I would like to use P2. So here P1 will be here like this only, P2 will go, P3 already went and P4 is already went. And at the end of the execution of that particular task, this register or queue will becomes empty. This queue is known as ready queue. This is known as ready queue. Simply the name itself, it is indicating ready queue means which is the next process is going to be executing. That particular process has to be in any one of the place in this queue. That's what ready queue it is. The entire scheduling or process, entire journey of execution will always depends on admitted and completed stages. So admitted stage, as you already learned, first one is create. So after creating, you need to make ready. Once it is ready, it has to go for running. Once the process execution is completed, it will completed. So if it is required, it will go to block, and the IO device support will taken by this. Once it is completed, and again it will be back to ready state. Here only you have to admit it is nothing but you are just initializing. Execution. Nothing but where I am creating my entire program or entire task, entire jobs, whatever it is. This is my admission, and whether it may be in ready state, may be in running state, or may be in blocking state, I don't want to bother. What I need to bother is that I have 5 processes in creating state. I need to check whether those all 5 processes completed their operation or not only. If let it may be in ready state, or may be in running state, or may be in block state, then the processor will not yet to be finished. It has to reach all the 5 processes to the completed state. Then only I consider myself the task is accomplished. So this is the basic raw structure of your task scheduling. So for example, just now I already told you, starting with admitted, ending with completed. In between, what are the processes that you have? First one is admit. Next one is ready. Next one is running. Next one is block or else blocking, and last one is completed. These are the 5 operations or 5 steps which are available for executing any one of the process or any one of the task. So first of all, I have a device, and my entire device having n number of processors, means this will be from P1 to Pn. I have n number of processors. So I have one big task, and that entire task has to be segregated in as n number of processes. So initially I need to forward this all n number of processors to admitted stage, because where I have to start my execution, right? At the same time, from here it is sending to job queue. Job queue is nothing but how many processes available, n number of available. So definitely you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, so on to n number of locations is available. Until and unless n is going to be vacated, or all the n number of tasks are going to be executed, we can't able to make it as empty, right? And this one is scheduler. So I have P1 to Pn now. So P1 has to execute at what time, and P2 has to execute at what time, P3, P4, P5, and so on to Pn. In which process, at what instant of time it is going to be executed, could be decided by scheduler only. That's what we are manual, user manuals. And once scheduling is done, for example, I have taken P1. So P1 has to execute it in between 0 to 5 seconds. I have given. So once the time slot operation started, when 0 will come to the processor, then obviously P1 started its execution. So who will take care of that one? This one, CPU, or this is our processor, microprocessor or microcontroller, whichever it may be. That's our CPU. It has to decide. So that's it is allocate CPU time for process. That is, at which instant of time which process has to be executed could be decided. Once it is decided, it has to start the execution. So for example, as we already learned in task process threads execution. So P1 is running in separate slot, P2 is running in separate slot, P3, P4, P5 are executing in different slots. But still, if this entire process is on based on priority, and the priority in between the processors is P1